Is this your first year going into a hospital and doing things, or what?
Yes, first year in the hospital.
Yeah, what year are you? Third or fourth?
Fourth now.
You're fourth now.
Yep, fourth year.
2 years to go.
Fourth, fifth and sixth.
Oh, 3 years to go. So how often are you in hos?
Well, now I don't go back to uni at all.
Oh.
I no longer go to the university. I'm in the hospital now continuously for the next 3 years.
Really?
Yep.
And what you sort of...
Well,
how do you get examined?
Well, you have... The university runs the exams.
Yeah.
And they sort of set down a basic guideline for syllabus and say this is what we'll examine.
Yeah.
But the rest is up to the hospital. So
what do you have to do for your pracs?
Well, it's not. Well, the whole thing is really a prac. What you do is you do clerking of patients, which is what we do. This is intro weeks for sort of how to walk around the hospital, you know, and this is a caff and this is a cup of coffee, you know, not quite that bad, but. And then you go into little groups and you go into a ward, right? Which is, you know, 30 beds nominally and 30 patients. And you get from your initial batch of patients, you divvy up them all, and you go off stethoscope in one ear and things, and you try and find out what's wrong with them.
Oh, yes.
Which is you clerk them, which means you take a full history and examine them and find out what's wrong with them, and then follow them up when they have all their tests and
Which
things.
hospital is this?
This is the Royal Melbourne.
Yeah.
And find out what's wrong with them, follow up all their tests. This is, you know, in theory what you're meant to do. And if you want to, you can assist in any sort of things that they get done to them, you know, veni punctures or lumbar punctures or drips or go and watch operations and all this. And then what happens is they have what a consultant, which is, you know, sort of like if you go and see your Collins Street specialist, this is this guy. And he consults in the hospital. That is, he comes in a couple of days a week, wanders around his ward and sees all his patients. And the med students tag along at the same time, and he'll say, all right, who's looking after Mrs. Jones? It's here, you know, and you say, oh, I'm looking after Mrs. Jones. And he says, all right, tell us, well, what's wrong with Mrs. Jones? And, you know, you say Mrs. Jones is suffering from, you know, liver disease or something, so blah, 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 blah. And he'll ask you all about that, and that.
And he knows all the answers.
He knows all the answers, yeah right.
And he's
testing you, and then he'll say, all right, and other things you might see in this disease, this syndrome, or this complications of this and this, and then you have time in outpatients when
so you've virtually become a real apprentice.
Right, yeah, you're an apprentice doctor. You're just wandering around, and you have to go. There's one lecture a day from, would you believe, 4:30 to 5:30. And
great time.
There's post-mortems every day. I think, four times a week.
Does that mean you're coming into contact with dead bodies?
Yeah.
Where's that, down the basement or something? Down the bottom, you know? Well, down the basement. Hello? What's happened? Where have you gone to? Hello, your mitters has gone off. Or was mine mitters gone off? Hang on, just a minute. Who's gone off? Oh, maybe I've gone off. Yes, just a minute, stand by. It's alright, I know it's wrong. High tension. Come back in about 10 seconds. Or thereabouts. We just stood on an extension.
3, 2, 1, we're back.
Basement, was it?
Yes. Oh, well, I've been in contact with dead bodies. I mean, there was second-year dissection where you chop one up.
What, of real people?
Yeah, real. Oh, they're not really real. They've been sitting in formaldehyde for...
Oh.
And they're real hard. Like, you know, they're really hard.
Oh,
like
yeah,
rock.
I think when we went into the med thing on open day.
And they're sort of unreal because they're so hard. Like,
and they're all shriveled with little ripples across them.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And you get a lung or something, and it'll stand up by itself. When in practice, your lung or my lung will no longer, you know, has no chance of standing up. If you take it out and put it on the table, it just sort of collapses in a little heap.
Yeah.
whereas when it's been sitting in formaldehyde for months and months, it becomes rock solid.
So what do you, at the moment you're just looking at ordinary people who have died?
Well, yeah, the post-mortems start, there'll be people in the hospital who have died.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, of course, yeah, all the people
Right.
down there, yeah.
So
You've got to try and dig in them and find out if there's anything
right.
strange.
Well, what you do is that you find out whether what you thought was wrong with them was actually wrong with
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
and whether anything else contributed to the cause of death.
Yeah, I suppose you
that
could
didn't
even
miss.
learn out of it, yeah.
Well, this is it. You're looking to make sure that you didn't make a mess of it, and didn't treat anything that was there that caused death.
Mm.
You didn't mess it up. So.
And how are you reacting to all that? Does it all sort of become fairly routine now?
Oh, that doesn't worry me, no. I think it will when there's a post-mortem on someone I've been looking after.
Oh, yeah.
Right, like it's been someone that I've been clerking and I know all
You've been
about her.
speaking to them.
Yeah, I've know all about her sister and her brother and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And when you come face to face with that lying on the table, that'll be the first time. But otherwise, they're people that you don't know and don't know their background, and so it doesn't worry you.
What would happen if you ended up having to do a post-mortem on somebody, post-mortem on somebody that you knew? Would you get someone else to do it?
Well, I think I would ask,
someone else
to do it and say, look, excuse me, but this was one of my patients, could I be excused?
Yeah.
Because it'd be a bit much to have to do that, especially when you know them. And I mean, these people sort of seem to like med students because we got a lot of time to hang around and talk to them, whereas the consultants sort of breeze in and breeze out because they're just so busy. You see, they've got their private practice and they've got consulting work and they've got to teach us, so they've got 3 jobs at once.
What sort of equipment do they have for doing post-mortems and stuff? I mean, is there a whole floor down there, or?
Oh, there's a whole room, I think.
Yeah.
There's a demonstration room, and there's the path labs all behind it where they do all the specimens.
What temperature do they get kept at?
I'm not sure, actually.
It's not sort of, I suppose it'd be above freezing.
Well, when the person dies, they're removed from the ward straight away and they're put in the students' room till they come and collect them, you see. So, they told us today, when you walk in and there's this thing sitting on the table covered by a white cloth, don't worry about it, it's just someone who died overnight. Very charming. But,
when you have to do a sort of a very detailed post-mortem, do you have to sort of put them all back together before they're buried, or what?
I'm not sure what happens, actually.
Somebody else does that, do they?
I have a feeling that they go off minus a few bits.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine they might go off minus a few bits from inside, but I just wondered whether they, because some people like to open the coffin and this sort of thing.
Yeah,
I just wondered how much trouble they'd go to.
I don't know. But you see, the interesting thing is if you're checked into a major public teaching hospital...
What, you mean you or a patient?
Well, anyone. You've got to object within 8 hours of the time of death to a post-mortem being done, or otherwise you'll automatically forfeit your right to object to the post-mortem, you see. And most people don't think of about it in the
You mean
state.
the person who's dying?
The nearest relative, right? You say,
Yeah.
So your wife dies or something and you don't want a post-mortem done, but for about the first 8 hours you'll really,
Does that always hold? Like if there's an objection, do they always not do one? Or if there's something suspicious, would they still do one anyway?
Well, they'd probably just say, well, look, we're really not quite sure. We really would like to see and make sure that there wasn't anything else that caused your wife's death, and so-and-so and so-and-so. But if you've really got something against it, I suppose you can object and say, no, you won't allow it, because after all, they've got to abide by your decision. It's not as if they own the body or anything. So,
3AML working 3GX.
3GX, 3AML. So that's what 4th year is all about. And 5th year, you spend time in casualty, patching up people, and psychiatry. And
those TV series, like The Young Doctors and things like that, are they anything like it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've had 4 days of it, so I'm not really quite sure.
That's a point, yeah. It's a bit hard to
But no, that's what we do for for the system, fourth year. Fifth year is that and the Royal Women's Hospital and the Kids Hospital.
What hours do you have to keep?
Well, you're meant to be there from 9 till 5:30, as I say.
That's the truth.
Uh,
And you're not getting paid anything?
no,
Not a cent. So you
not
just
a
got
cent.
to 9 till 5:30 every day, 5 days a week.
Well, yeah, and then, you know, sometimes they might ask you for the weekend, but not, that's all
Truth.
voluntary on your part. And, I mean, there's about an hour and a bit, and lunch is pretty long because the patients have to have a good long lunch rest away from the trials and tribulations.
Apparently there's a bit of a knock session on Monday night of the medical profession in the Naked Vicar this Monday night, 9:30.
And,
Jokes about doctors jumping off their wallets, suiciding,
yeah.
things like that. According to the GG.
But the student quarters are really good, though. I mean, there's the nice downstairs little common room with armchairs and the colour TV going on the World Series cricket if you want to watch it. And every morning when you get in there, there's 3 Ages and 3 Suns to read before, and the Herald comes of a night, and there's lockers and a showers upstairs with towels and so, you know...
Where do you eat?
The CAF in the hospital.
What, is it a public cafe or
No, it's hospital staff only.
staff cafe?
Yeah,
So what,
staff.
you get reasonable food or...
Yeah, well, reasonable food and reasonable prices sort of thing, you know.